And we're back right here, Day One Radio, ABLradio.com.
Yeah.
Still in the building with Mr. Big Gipp.
Yeah, man. Mute mind frames, man. They call me Zaga on a lot of different other parts of the world.
Now, you know, everybody's celebrating the 20th anniversary of Southern Playlist, the Cadillac Music OutKast debut album.
Yeah.
But shoot, 2015 is right around the corner, which means it's also going to be the 20th anniversary of Soul Food.
Yeah.
Goodie Mob's debut album. An album that has changed my life. Damn near really saved my life, actually, Sheldon.
Hey, man, it saved my life.
Incredible album.
If you really look back at them times, man, and you look at us, man, and especially us four, we was a little different. Goodie Mob was a little different than OutKast. If you go back and just look at our pictures, you could just tell, like, who were the Goon Squad and who were the good guys.
The good
know
guys.
what I mean? Like, so you got to look like that's nothing to be proud of, but it is what it is. But at the same time, too, we fought the battles and we made sure that nothing happened to them during them times. Because during them times, man, y'all don't know, man. There was a lot of robbing going on back then. I remember one time, man, we had a lot of stuff happen that only a movie can tell. You know, some of our homeboys got killed. You know, a lot of things happened with people's houses getting disrespected. We even had some cases where one time we had they were trying to kidnap some guys were trying to kidnap 3,000 for ransom. So, you know, you think about, you know, why 3,000 don't mess with the public the way he do. It's caused a lot of things that happened to us when we were kids, man, that made him be like, I don't like all this. I don't like 15, 20. Because, you know, back then we started the whole 100, we running around town with 100 people. Like, that was us. Because at the time, we were getting invaded by New York. We was getting invaded. So it was almost like, okay, if we don't stand on this, then Atlanta gonna turn into what Philly and DC and all that did. It's like we're gonna get invaded. So our thing was like, yo, we gotta make a presence for our city, man. And the music was the biggest thing because you know, after we had that experience in New York with The Source, I mean, we went album of the year and we got booed.
Right.
And if y'all go back and look at that clip, if you see me, I'm standing right behind 3,000. I'm grilling. I'm like, please. And we wasn't even deep. We was only 6 deep that night. Everybody else was doing 150, 200 people. And we still was like, yo, we in here. You know, so it's just the things that we ain't been put up against that have made us kind of course to what's going on. You know, people be like, yo, how you like the rappers? I'm like, yo, it's a great soft generation.
Take us back.
Generation.
It's devoid of testosterone.
Yeah, it's a soft generation, man. This shit is kind of almost like a half male, half girl. Like, I mean, but hey, man, whatever sells.
Take us back in time to recording Soul Food, like that album, because y'all weren't, it ain't like this was your third album, it ain't like y'all were 35 years, that album is extremely mature.
Yeah.
You know, like, what were y'all reading, what were you taking in at that point?
Well, what happened was Organized Noise was in the studio working with TLC. They was doing the TLC remix. It was up at DARP. And Busta at that time, you know, that's when Dallas had Rampage signed. So Busta and Rampage used to always be in DARP. So Busta was reading this book called Behold of the Pale Horse. And he gave it to Reek. Reek brought it back to the dungeon. He gave it to Rube first. Big Rube read the book in about 2-3 days and it was done. And then that's when the book got passed around and we started reading this book. And that was how we conceived what we were gonna stand on as a group, because we was looking around and we was like, yo, nobody's saying nothing for the South. And me personally, I was a big Public Enemy fan, and I was also, you know, running around with the Nation when I was in high school and stuff like that. And I used to run around with Conrad Muhammad, so you know, I was real close to the minister back and forth. So it was just the people that I was around and the things that I was learning at the time, like, yo, you know, the Olympics was coming and so many things were just changing about Atlanta. I just felt like, hey, man, OutKast, if you look at it, man, if you go back and look at the OutKast album, it had touches of militancy. You know what I mean? You know, but at the same time, we felt like, yo, let's take it all the way. And the first night, it was just so much stuff going on. You gotta look that Cee-Lo's mother was paralyzed from the neck down. Shawty was really living with us, you know what I mean? Him and Dre, they was like, 17, 16 years old. Shawty was 16 years old when we did Get Up, Get Out, and Get Something. That was his true feelings, you know what I mean? Like, so those kind of things I was tripped out because my youngest homie was on it because of the things that was going on in his household where he knew that once my mama gone, I'm the man. So Lo really was like, yo, Gipp, let's go this way with it, man, and at least I can try and show my mom and my grandmama and them that I'm better than just being the trouble child. You know what I mean? And I was the same way.
Yeah.
Cujo was the same way. Timo was the same way. You know what I mean? I got kicked out of Fulton County, school systems. Cujo got kicked out of school. Cee-Lo just left school. Timo got sent off to military school after being caught in the trap. You know what I mean? So, you know, with us and us folk, like, we was a little bit different. You know what I mean? Because of the things and how we were built. You know, we were the front line for the family. So, you know, when it came to music, we just wanted to make sure that we said something because we was all labeled troubled children. And at the same time, when we left the dungeon, after the success of the first OutKast album, that's when Reek was like, yo, okay, we did our classic album in the dungeon. It's time for us to do Goodie Mob somewhere else. And lo and behold, we winded up in Curtis Mayfield's house. Over there on Campbellton Road, which I never knew Curtis Mayfield lived in my neighborhood all my life. And I never knew he had a house there.
Wow.
So we met his son and we started recording Soul Food in Curtis Mayfield house. And it was just to be able to walk into his bedroom and look at all the reels from Superfly and go into his closet. And the actual sweatsuit I'm wearing on Soul Food, Curtis Mayfield gave to me to wear on the album. So for me, I just felt like we was always blessed by the elders where we knew once we came after OutKast, there was too many dudes watching us where we had to say something for real instead of playing with our opportunity. And I think Cell Therapy was the last song that we recorded. Our last song for the album was Cell Therapy and Dirty South.
That's correct. It always seems to work out like that, to where some of the best songs are the last songs you record for an album.
Those were the last two songs, and also the videos we shot outside of Soul Food. So, you know, like, those songs really resonated in where we were at the time, you know?
Now, you know, backtracking from now to 20 years ago, you know, saying like you said, you know, L.A. Reid was involved back then.
Yeah.
Was it ever a hard sell for him and the Face Records? I mean, when you think of it, you know, Face Records is Tony Braxton, TLC, then they just got this new hot hip-hop duo, OutKast, and then here come Goodie Mob. Like, was it a hard sell at first for LA and the Face Records?
Have you ever seen L.A. Reid and Babyface doing them times in the picture with us?
No.
Because we were the only ones on that label that was saying something totally different than what that label was doing. You know, and we took it upon ourselves, and we was left out there by ourselves. You gotta look how many times our record. As soon as we dropped Cell Therapy, we was banned on MTV. As soon as we dropped Soul Food, we got another lawsuit where they said that we had took the Tabasco sign.
Yeah,
they sued us, and then didn't Russell Simmons go right behind us, copy it, and put it on Fat Farm, and they didn't say nothing to him? The exact same thing. They stopped our record then. Then when we came with our next record, They Don't Dance No More for the second album. Remember we had The Man.
Yeah.
And we were crossing out the Jigaboo.
Yeah.
They stopped that record. See, we got hit with so much stuff that people just will never know. Like, you know, stuff that we was kind of like, yo, I mean, why y'all bothering us? There's a whole bunch of niggas killing on records and everything else, and we trying to say something. So just imagine trying to say something, but then going to the West Coast and they doing all the gangster stuff and they selling all the records, they ain't saying nothing. And we like, okay, now, well, what are we doing? Like, it seems like our people, they want that. And it's only a certain amount of people that want this. And most of the time, the certain amount of people are dreads, people who are in college, and people who are just intellectually ahead of everybody else. But the hood, man.
I want to go back to something you said a little bit earlier as far as this generation of rappers or artists now, and the fact that they are somewhat soft. But then you went into the Curtis Mayfield story and spoke on the fact that elders reached out to y'all, you know what I'm saying, in that generation, it made you want to say something. Would you say that this generation is lacking elders saying something to them for them to want to say something? You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what? Because the people that the industry put at the top of the food chain, they've never said nothing. And if I'm running around all these youth and that's who they emulate, then I'm like, hey, man, what I'm going to say? If you feel like the drug dealer is your hero, then do that. I was raised by a father, still with my mother, so I don't even understand. I don't understand a lot of stuff you're talking about, even though I did that.
So you saying the value system is different?
Value system different. It's the value system. Most of the people that's in the street now don't care nothing about family. People don't care nothing about self. I mean, people don't care nothing about self, and they only self, and they only about self. That's a culture. I mean, when you walking in our day, man, we go in the club and everybody dancing, having fun. Everybody was having fun in Atlanta in the 90s, man. Wasn't nobody tripping. Now look at it now. We look like everybody standing around looking at each other, seeing who buying bottles and you know. Come on, man. It's like we do it for a different reason now because people have had a chance and a taste of that other life. You know, I was hanging out with rock stars for real. When I hear all these dudes talking about, hey man, I'm a rock star, I be like, boy, stop. I was on yachts with Lenny Kravitz and Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins in the 90s, homie. You don't know nothing about no rock stars. you know how to get high. you know how to get high. Like that's the culture that's what they pushing right now. Yeah, they pushing for all the young black men to be high all day.
When did it become cool to be a dope fan?
Yeah, like come on, man. We were like, hey, man, okay. And I'm gonna tell you how we used to be even back then when I used to be around Pimp. Like I remember sometimes when Pimp would be doing certain stuff and he'd be like, nah, Gipp, that ain't for you. Come on, man. I've been through the sipping.
That's real OG shit, though.
I've been through the sipping on syrup times, man. That was UGK, 666 Mafia. Hey, man, even though they was doing it then, everybody else wasn't doing it. Right. Everybody was like, yo, that's what they do. Okay, cool. Now it's like, soon as somebody come out with a song, they was like, where that dope at?
and the crazy thing is, and me and Reese talked about this years ago, when Wayne was walking around with cups like crazy, I was like, you've never met nobody skinny that sips syrup. This nigga is not sipping syrup. Hey. This is all marketing.
Marketing. And I think that's what it is now, because think about it right now, man. Look who the hot rappers. I love them all too. I love Rich Homie Quan, because at the end of the day, you got to still look. Again, Dungeon Family is still at the forefront of everything, because what everybody doing now ain't nothing but what Future they got from Future. Let's talk about it. This singing reggae thing, Future. Again, another descendant of the Dungeon Family that set the precedence of where everybody going in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Rocco, that's Rico's cousin. You know, like most of these people that's setting the precedent, setting the where the bar is, that's us. Even though we not even, and you would never think Future come from us. But yeah, he was sitting right in the dungeon while we did all our albums as a kid. So that's why he's so good now, because he can sit around Cee-Lo and watch him work a song out, or sit around Dre and, oh, you play with the guitar. Okay, let me go and figure that out. And that's what it is. We were teaching each other. And I think now people don't teach each other. They just show people what they got. That's why the music ain't getting no better. It's getting worse.
And you know what, man? Before we wrap up, I just want to bring up one thing. I remember I said this on my blog some years ago. There was an XXL cover. Rest in peace to XXL, the print version, by the way.
Word.
And I just left that last week. I just went a whole press run in New York and just went to the office.
Talk about that later.
And it's like, I remember I wrote this blog piece, and it resonated with a lot of people. It was about like, I want to say maybe 08, 09. And it was like the Atlanta cover. It was like Shawty Low, Gucci Mane,
I remember
OJ
that.
the Juice Man, and Soulja Boy. And everybody, you know what I'm saying, they had they wrist up, showing the watches, showing this. And I juxtaposed it to the Goodie Mob cover. Now, all of y'all was showing you gold teeth in the picture, but it was more so saying like,
don't fuck with us.
Look at who I am. It was like more so like, look at who I am, not what I don't, not look at what I got. It's like the Goodie Mob crew was kind of like, look at who I am.
That. Yeah.
But you know the one with like OJ and all them was like, nigga, look what I got. And it's like, oh, what the fuck y'all really saying? You know what I'm saying?
And I'm gonna tell you this, and it's the real truth. When I know Gucci, real one. I knew him before. I used to go and meet Gucci in the parking lot of Kroger on Camden Road. You know what I mean? So I know these cats. I know the real ones and I know the fake ones. When you real like Gucci, you're gonna be in jail like Gucci.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when people be like, yo, where Cool Breeze? Well, Witch Doctor? Where they still around, but to be able to deal with this business, and some people, I'm not even gonna say that they want to deal with it. Some people just not built for the politics that come along with the music business at this point. Like, it's too controlled. It's too like, man, I should have went to school. You know what I mean? So, you know, like, that's where we are. So that's what I did. Even with the new album, I gave y'all records. I reminded you who I am, but then I did 6, 7. The majority of the album, you're gonna be like, yo, I never knew you could do this.
And you know what, man? We're gonna go into talking about this new album after this break from DJ Wally Sparks. Once again, this is Day One Radio right here on ABLradio.com.
20 years ago, an album came out that kind of shook the South and changed the game, Gipp. That Soul Food, man.
Soul Food.
I mean, how do you feel being 20 years deep in the game and folks still bumping that album to this day? Because, I mean, I still got a few songs in my mix right now that I'ma just ride to when it get cold.
Yeah.
That Goodie Bag is my theme song right there, okay? I still ride down 66 and I'm like, it's dark as hell out here, man.
Yeah, it's still dark as hell. I feel grateful, man. I feel grateful that the Most High gave us that, you know, for us to be able to come into the game and drop a record like Cell Therapy.
Yeah.
And we can look around and see that this world has turned into everything that we said on that record. You know what I mean? We talking about the cameras. We talking about the government peeking in our window. We talking about the social media where they can track you and follow you anywhere you at. Everything that we talked about. And I'm just letting people know that, man, you know, if you got these new phones, man, you know, them police can follow you everywhere you going. So never think that they don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just a message to y'all, man, that, you know, when a message sent, sometimes it takes you a long time to get it. You might not get it the first time it come across your face, but I think now people really realize what we did for the South. And hey man, OutKast, they were superstars, but I always know that Goodie Mob was the backbone.
That Soul Food, man.
You know what I mean? You can anytime, and you can put Soul Food in right now, and it's still relevant to what's going on to the day, man. Because out here, man, it's hard, man. Like, I can see that it's changed. It's more people going into poverty. It's less and less people knowing how they gonna eat every day. So, you know, to have Soul Food in your catalog, man, it surely can help you through some tough times in your life. That's one thing that I can say throughout all the years. People always came to me either coming home from jail or just going through different things with their family. They always were like, man, I go to that Soul Food, man, and y'all helped me through a lot of stuff, man. You know, a dude told me that last night, like, man, you know one of y'all favorite songs y'all ever did? I said, what? He said, Guess Who, home? I always think about my mama with that record.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's real, man.
What were the studio sessions like creating that album right there? And when y'all were creating that music, did y'all know that music was going to go down in history and change the South, the way it was perceived, or what it was called and all that stuff?
We didn't know at the time, but we felt like we were saying something that wasn't nobody else saying, because people don't realize that we came out at the same time. When Astor Records did their deal, they did their deal with LaFace and they did their deal with Bad Boy. So when our first little tape came out, you know, our first little promo tape, one side was Bad Boy, one side was LaFace. So one side was OutKast, Goodie Mob, the other side was Biggie Smalls and Craig Mack.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, to come in the game with the person or with persons that they consider as the greats, then who am I?
Yeah.
You know, because I'm still living.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, man, to know that we came in at that time and we recorded Soul Food in Curtis Mayfield house.
Yeah.
And I think that to a certain extent that made us that made us just think about things and do things a little bit different than if we had did it in a regular studio. We was in the great Curtis Mayfield house on Camden Road, man.
Exactly.
Like we had to do something great because that man could come in and out that house if he wanted to and be like, yo, y'all in my house doing some bullshit. So we always wanted to make sure we did some music that just in case this man walked in the door, he could say, man, I respect that. So that's one thing about us, man. We always felt like soul food. We always made grown man rap.
Yeah.
So even at this point in my life, I can still make the same rap because I never made little kid rap. It's always been grown man rap.
Right.
So I don't feel no different than I did even 20 years before. You know, I feel the same that I feel right now. And what it is what we felt like we were being chosen to say something. Because even though people blackballed us and said we weren't gonna be here, we would get best live show every year. Like we would. Like from 95 to 98, 99, we got best live show every year. You know what I mean? Couldn't nobody beat us on stage. I don't think it's too many groups that they can touch what Goodie Mob can do on stage because nobody ever had just artists like a Cee-Lo in their group or me or Cujo, you know, and a T-Mo, just 4 different dudes.
Exactly.
But at the same time brought an ingredient to the group that made the group just you can't copy it. We've never been. They can't duplicate Goodie Mob. So you know, if you want Goodie Mob, you got to come get Goodie Mob.
Exactly. Now that Dungeon family, man. You had a bunch of folks from the A-Town that could get together and I mean flat out jam. But everybody's from the hood at the same time. How were you able to get everybody on the same page for y'all to be able to jam like that, man?
Well, see, a lot of us went to school together. You know, Wish Doctor, T-Mo, Cee-Lo, they all from the same hood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Me, Cujo, he from Camden Road, Venetian Hills. And you know, like Big Rube from Venetian, you know, I'm from East Point. You know, I think that it was just the times because, you know, in Atlanta during them times, it was only 3 sets of groups really doing stuff.
Yeah.
You had Dallas Austin.
Yep.
And then you had Jermaine Dupri.
Yep.
And we were the third. You know what I mean? We were the third entity. And really, if you think about all 3 of us, we all knew each other. You know what I mean? As kids growing up. So we all used to hang out at Jelly Beans. So we've been watching each other since we were kids or at Greenbrier, the Gold Room. Like always special and always was in our face. Like Dallas has always been the dude that everybody looked up to because, you know, he started making hit records at 16, 17 years old with Climax and George Irby. So it was just us being around those kind of guys then. And once LA and Babyface showed up in town, we just felt like we had to do something that was bigger than just, you know, because during them times, it was all about scrub the grind. You know what I mean? It was all about bass music, and I loved it. You know, I was all into the booty shake, man. Like, and you know, Magic Mike, man, come on, man. Gucci Crew, man. Poison Clan, that was Gipp, man. That's my homeboy, too. Old JT Money. So, for me, it was about just making sure that we impressed LA and Babyface. Like, that's something that nobody else had in the city. And, you know, Dallas didn't have to take his records to LA, you know what I mean? And neither did Jermaine. He just had to do great for Usher. But what he did on So Def was So Def, you know. But for us and what we were doing, OutKast, we had to take our records directly to LA and Babyface. And to have to do that, you had to impress them.
You had to bring it.
You had to impress them, man, because, you know, the biggest thing they used to tell us, like, man, look, man, I don't want to hear a song. All I want to hear is the melody, the hook, and the chorus. Whatever you're saying in between that's cool. I get to that. But them the 3 most important things to us. So if you think about it, if you go back and listen to Organized Noise and the Dungeon Family albums, it was all about music and layers. That's why you had like people like Witch Doctor. Like he had his own style, man. It was just his own. And if you think about it, Cool Breeze was the first dope boy rapper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that represented Atlanta, like on that style. You know what I mean? And Backbone was his own thing, like his own West Side kind of D-boy story. So it was like, it was great to do that because Reek had his mom's house in Lakewood. You know, like he was able to have 15, 20 guys at his house all the time during them times, and us just sitting there and sitting around that music and trapping at the same time.
Yeah.
You know?
Gotta get the money now.
What's so funny about it, you know, like people ask me all the time, like where the word trap come from. It come from Goodie Mob.
Yeah.
First time you ever heard it, it comes from us. And that Cujo Goodie. Most of the slang that people use in the South, that Cujo Goodie.
Yeah.
See what
Y'all
I'm
had a
saying?
slick dictionary
You know
that
what I mean?
came with the album,
Yeah,
though.
you know, so the slumptionary.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was just all about us all having one goal. And the one goal was to represent Atlanta, because we felt like at that time, at that particular time, that Dallas was so pop. You know, Dallas was hanging out with Madonna and all that then. And, you know, JD, he was doing Crisscross, but we always felt like Crisscross was big, but Crisscross didn't represent Atlanta.
Yeah.
They represented what JD wanted them to represent at that time. You know what I mean? Like, and what was special about them was they were so dope. They were dope, and they used to wear their clothes backwards.
Yeah.
But you didn't get to knowing what Atlanta was about till you got to the Dungeon Family.
Yeah.
You got to the Dungeon Family, OutKast, that first Players Ball video, man, we let you know, we took you through the city, man, like this Atlanta. Like whatever the other stuff you see, but this Atlanta. And I think people always had to respect us because we never wanted to be like nobody else, but from Atlanta. You know, everybody else, it big the dipper. You know what I mean? But when it came out the Dungeon, man, everybody always knew this was Atlanta. People moved to Atlanta because of what we did, not of what Dallas and what JD did. Respectably, they did their thing. But when people wanted to know about Atlanta, they put on the Dungeon Family music.
Another album still standing, man. That Black Ice.
Black Ice.
I mean, another classic and another one of my favorites, that Fly Away, man. Can
Hey,
you
man.
tell me about how them two joints came together?
Well, one day, Reek had this beat up playing in the Dungeon for about a week, and it was right after. I'm gonna tell you, it was the same week we did the Bad Boy and Organized Noise weekend in Atlanta. He had this beat up all day, and I was just like, yo, man, I'm tired of coming over here and hearing this beat. So I just went in the studio and did 3 verses to Black Ice and walked out of the studio.
Yeah.
Well, I came back the next 2 days, Reek had put Dre and Big on it. And I was like, dang, like a song that was really, to me, I was just in that vibe. And I swear, I just went in there and vibed them 3 verses out.
Yeah.
But when he put Dre and Big on it, it became a real song. And you know, the whole thing was just about the Black Ice in Atlanta, man. You know, that's just something that we hear coming up, like, watch out for the Black Ice.
Exactly.
You know, and life like that too. You know what I mean? True. Life like that. You don't watch out, man, you can get caught slipping. You know, so, and the Fly Away, that record came about, man. We played Bad Boy over at the Dungeon.
Yeah.
And Puff showed up. Puff showed up with New York Knicks. You know what I mean? He came with old professional basketball players. So we out there, we like, okay, New York. New Yorkers showed up with professional basketball players. It's just us in the hood.
Yeah.
So they beat us at the Dungeon. And I remember we were tripping because and that day we were tripping because we were like, you know, like when I stay, fly away. And we went in and recorded that record after that. We used that aggression that we had lost that game. We were so mad. Then we set up the football game, and then we was out there. We were supposed to be playing flag football. We were tackling. Been here.
Them Tigers, man.
Been here.
Now, how was that feeling, though, when I look at songs like that Fly Away and I look at how the city is now?
Yeah.
How do you feel when y'all talked about a lot of this stuff and people wasn't quite getting it right then, but now you see it around you everywhere you go?
Well, I mean, I see it, I respect it, and I just like, hey, man, it's up to the youth to change it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's up to the youth to want something else out of this music game than just the streets and just the club life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because one thing you can't say that, one thing we've proven, if you do great music, you'll survive.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I take my hat off to the young artists that's pushing that kind of line, and that's like B.O.B., Lil Rory, you know, like some of the different artists out here that's really trying to do their thing and you know, take it to the other level because, you know, like this street music, not too much of it gonna make it to London. You know what I mean?
True.
It's not gonna make it to London. You know, they know Jay-Z, but they know Jay-Z because of Beyonce, not because of Jay-Z. You know what I mean? Just know that them people over there don't even understand a lot of that stuff in our street culture. So the only way to reach them is to make great songs. And that's what I tell a dude all the time, man. Now, I ain't got no whole bunch of freestyle for you, but I bet you I'll write a better song than you any day.
Yeah.
You know, so with that, man, you know, that's just me respecting the culture and respecting music. And I want more and more artists to feel like they love the music and the culture and not the streets and the drugs, you know, because that ain't what we make music for.
Exactly. Now, I know you toured with Cee-Lo for about 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that about? How was that?
Okay, what happened was, you know, he had just finished doing the Nas Barkley. They gave Shawty a big deal, so we was over in London, and he was like, yo, bro, like, we got to go and meet with this dude named Bruno Mars. So we went and met with Bruno, and when we got in there, we did this song, F You, and in 24 hours, it was a worldwide smash, and we went and we did everything, man. We went on tour with Rihanna. We went on tour overseas, every country, he performed for the Queen, you know, and we did The Voice at the same time. So it was exciting, man. Moved to L.A., man, and, you know, just dug in there, man, and started to really just understand that, okay, now we got to take Goodie to another level. Let's do a TV show. You know what I mean? So that's what we did next with TBS. And, you know, did great, man. And, you know, people don't understand sometimes, man. When you try and go and do different things, you can't be the same person that you are that you soul in music. That's what people don't understand sometimes. The same entity that it takes to make records is not the same one that people might want to see on TV every week. You know what I mean? Like, Snoop Dogg don't act like Snoop on the records, then when you see him on TV, he's Snoop Daddy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's not Snoop Dogg. So, I mean, that's all, man. Just us learning that it's so many other places you can go, so many other countries, man. It's such a big world out there that I think that people getting trapped into this thing. Because, you know, one thing I want Atlanta to know, that we starting to get like New York did in the 90s, man. We starting to be all about just Atlanta, man. And it's not just about Atlanta. We supposed to make music for everybody. You know what I mean? And I think if you keep doing that, then you kill your own base. You kill your own home in the way that you make music, and you're not supporting it. Because if everybody making the same thing, why the people gonna start supporting it?
Exactly.
So if the artists don't keep elevating and doing different things, then you'll lose your fan base to somebody else. And it's always somebody else ready to take your spot.
Exactly.